Hey guys, my name is Rob, welcome to Kinetic Rugby League. In this video, I'll be giving you my Super League Round 20 predictions. So I'll leave a recap of last week up on the screen for you shortly. But I want to give you a little bit of trivia. Just one question. I think regulars should be able to answer this question. I think you can. Newcomers might be able to answer this question, but here we go. Are you ready? Let's go. Aside from the Castleford Tigers, which other team directly contributed to an imperfect round of predictions last week? Was it A, Warrington Wolves, B, Wigan Warriors, C, St Helens, or D, Kingston Rovers? I'll give you 10 seconds. The answer, of course, was E, Salford Red Devils. So here you have the recap of last week. Castleford was the only team that I was incorrect with. I think they were actually decent and probably could have won that game if it wasn't for somebody. But let's not dwell on the past. I'm happy with the overall predictions this season. I'm happy with the overall percentage. It's been pretty solid. It's still working towards 80%. I'm getting there. Whether I can hit it by the end of the season, I'm not too sure. I think I need to pretty much be perfect. But we'll see. It's difficult to be perfect when a certain someone still exists in Super League, because even the easiest games, they don't go your way, do they? Huddersfield being one of them. But we'll crack on with the games this week and hopefully get a 6 out of 6. Kicking things off, we have the Castleford Tigers taking on Leopards. Starting with league position, Castleford sit in 10th, Leigh sit in 8th. In terms of recent form, both have won 3 in their last 5 Super League games. I have my power rankings, I have Castleford in 8th, Leigh in 5th. So for player availability, not expecting Griffin available for Castleford. Amon, O'Brien and Moylan are all questionable. I just want to make this comment really quickly. In terms of finding information on injuries, there are some websites that will post information, but a lot of it's contradicting because some either don't update it quickly enough, or the information's just not very public. Like it's all over the place. So I don't know where you guys find your injury information, but the stuff that I've been seeing, it's all over the place. So it's unlike the NRL. They've got an injury list that's updated on pretty much a daily basis, and you know when players should be coming back. But trying to find injuries, who's out and who's in, has been pretty difficult this week for whatever reason. So yeah, just putting that out there. But onto the game itself. Castleford versus Leigh. I've really liked what Cass has done over the past couple of weeks. They've put in really gritty, really resilient performances. Even in games they've lost, they've been exceptionally close. I think there was a game against Wigan which was close. Hull KR, that was a 2-point game against Hull KR was a 1-point game. And then they've had some really strong wins over the past couple of weeks. And even against Salford last week, lost by 8 points, but had 2 men out on 2 different occasions. So really strong effort from them. I think the main factor in this game is that Leigh are still a slightly stronger team. Cass do need to win this to have any mathematical chance of making playoffs, but I think it's all done now for them. But Leigh still have a chance. I think they are the most realistic of the lowest teams that can actually make playoffs at this point, and they've put in some strong performances over the last couple of weeks. Defence has been stronger. So I think it will be a pretty decent back and forth game, this one. Last time they drew, I think it was 28 all. 28, I think it was. So I can see both these teams going back and forth. Both these teams are very strong in attack, but do have their holes in defence. I think on a more regular basis, I think Leigh have been the stronger team. Points difference-wise over the course of the season, clearly they are as well. So I think because of that, it'll just be defence that gets it done on the side of Leigh. But I think there'll be a good competition in this game. So I'm going to go with Castleford Tigers 18, Leigh Leopards 26. Next up, we have Wigan Warriors taking on Huddersfield Giants. Starting with league position, Wigan sit in 3rd, Huddersfield are in 9th. For recent form, Wigan have won 3 in their last 5, Huddersfield have won 1 in their last 5. For power rankings, I have Wigan in 1st, Huddersfield in 10th. So for player availability, Brad O'Neill is probably out with a knee injury. Swift and Masters still have a few weeks to go as well. There, I think August and possibly September for one or the other. And maybe a few others here and there long term. Now, Wigan have lost 2 on the bounce to Hull FC, which was unexpected, and against Warrington, which some kind of expected, but I think a lot of people were on the fence, weren't too sure how it was going to go. They didn't expect them to be as bad in back-to-back weeks. Huddersfield have been shocking. Like, they've been absolutely abysmal for the last month and a half. So, if you take into account you could say embarrassment for Wigan against Hull, you could say that. Good test for Farman and Eckersley, and I'm still going to point those two guys out because they're filling in for big players. That was maybe an embarrassment for the whole team, but the game against Warrington last round, they would have learned a hell of a lot. Both of them threw an interception, one to Ashton and one to Thulis, and defensively were caught out in some moments, so they would have learned a hell of a lot. I think a coach like Matt Peat, and even having French and Field, put a lot of attention to detail into how those guys can learn from those scenarios. They will hopefully adapt and improve this week, and that'll stand them in good stead going forwards as well. On a personal note, and Wigan as a team going forwards as well. So I think as much as it wasn't nice, it does kind of need to happen for their character development and personal and professional development going forwards. So it's not nice now, but I think it will be great going forwards for them. Huddersfield are just poor overall. Defensively shocking. They can't control games. They just have there's nothing in that team where I think, they can, maybe they'll concede a lot, but they can put up the points to compete. Like, they can outscore a team, even though they concede a shit ton. I just don't see kind of life in this team. I think individually they're just good enough to be better than Hull FC and London, that's it. But it doesn't feel like there's any kind of unity. There's no fight back since Watson left. It just doesn't feel like there's anything in this team. And I think you take that compared to the lessons that the kids will learn for Wigan and the rest of the personnel in that Wigan team. I don't know if Wigan will completely smash them because maybe they're down on confidence and they've been a bit disjointed in attack from time to time because of the kids being in there, and they'll rely heavily on Smith kind of leading the charge at 7. Whether they'll try and punch holes through Huddersfield in the middle because they've got so many big forwards, they might try and do that. So they might not spread the ball as much, and they'll probably win the field position battle, but maybe not put up the excessive points that we've seen them do, previously. But I think Wigan should be somewhat comfortable, but nothing crazy in terms of scoreline. So I'm going to go with Wigan Warriors 30, Huddersfield Giants 12. Next up, we have Warrington Wolves taking on Hull Kingston Rovers. Starting with league position, Warrington sit in first, Hull KR sit in second. For recent form, Warrington have won 5 in their last 5 Super League games, Hull KR have won 4 in their last 5 Super League games. For power rankings, I have Warrington in second, Hull KR in third. For player availability, there's no Philbin, King, Wrench, Fitzgibbon and Crowther, to be confirmed anyway for squads coming up. And no major losses against London for Hull KR. In terms of the general losses, I don't know at the moment. Again, I've been struggling to find a list of names. But generally speaking, for this game, Warrington have played Hull KR twice. Warrington have won both of those fixtures. The first one was a pretty tough game in Hull. Quite a grueling game. Bit difficult in terms of conversions for both teams, but I think even if every team or both teams got every conversion, Warrington still would have won on points anyway. But the second time around, Warrington dominated that game. That's one of the best, most clean performances I've ever seen from Warrington in that fixture. Hull KR didn't have a play the ball inside our 20 for the first 20 minutes, and we didn't make like a genuine mistake to complain about for half an hour. Not a penalty, not a knock-on, not a ruck infringement, nothing for half an hour. There was a flick-on pass from Ty on one side, King on the other, to Ashton and Thulis, and they both knocked on. But they were from just flick-on passes that are pretty inaccurate anyway. I'm okay with those because we were actually trying to attack and spread the ball. That just didn't come off. And the fact that they knocked on really doesn't bother me because we actually tried to go at them and almost scored off the back of them. So in terms of a genuine mistake, we didn't make one for half an hour, and I'm extremely proud of that. And the way that we attacked the right edge with Roderick Ty, using him to bulldoze through for field position and then spread them open on the left-hand side, I thought was brilliant. They sort of turned things around in the second half. They used now levels out the back a little bit more, but I think the damage was kind of already done at that point. They were kind of chasing the game. I think Hull KR's biggest issue in this is probably losing the field position battle through the middle. I think Warrington's ruck speed is a little bit quicker and they're stronger in the forwards. As well as I think the kicking game, I trust Drinkwater and Williams to run a game more than I do Lewis and May, if I'm perfectly honest. And I think attacking the edges, Warrington seems to be getting it right now. You look at the result against Huddersfield, against Leeds was clean, against Saints, even with a man down and 2 men down, looked in control, and then against Wigan as well, also looked in control in that. And there's been a couple moments here and there, Warrington haven't been perfect, but I think more so on the side of Hull KR over recent weeks. This will be a big test for both teams. Really exciting game. I'm looking forward to being at the Halliwell Jones watching this. But I think based on everything right now, Warrington are the stronger team, not just in form, but generally as well. So I'm going to go with Warrington Wolves 24, Hull Kingston Rovers 18. Next up, we have Hull FC taking on St Helens. Starting with league position, Hull FC are in 11th, Saints are in 6th for recent form. Hull have won 1, Saints have won 0 in their last 5 Super League games. For power rankings, I have Hull FC in 11th, Saints in 7th. Injuries from last week, there was Sutcliffe with a foot injury, Vuniayo out with an ankle injury, and Wellsbeat with a leg injury for St Helens. So, this week, I think even given recent performances, Saints should be able to get back on track with a win this time out. As much as I've been impressed with Hull FC, not generally, but compared to where they were, they've definitely been a much better team on the attacking and defensive side. I think they have the ability to put up some points, and they're starting to work some things out, especially with Truman in there and Moy learning as a fullback. And even Walker in there, I think is quite an exciting fullback as well. But as a unit now, they're starting to learn some things, put them together, and be able to generate points, which is great for them. So I think with that, plus St Helens being a much weaker team than they were towards the start of the season, there's a chance that Hull FC, I think, could put up a good handful of points. Whether it'll be enough to compete, I don't think so. I think St Helens, they've got enough in that team to figure something out against a much weaker team. I think this is their weakest opponent, especially compared to the last 5 teams that they've played and lost to. I'm pretty sure this will be their easiest game, technically speaking. So I think Saints will be fine in this one. I've got a feeling it'll be one of those games where Saints will be happy just to get back to winning ways, but it'll be one of those where it's like, well, we were just, we kind of knew we'd be the better team, and we just looked stronger for the most part, but it wasn't anything special. That's the kind of way I see it going. But Hull FC, they upset Wigan, could they upset Saints? Unlikely, but so was the game against Wigan. So you never know, especially with all the injuries as well that Saints will be facing at the moment. But I do think Saints will be back to winning ways. I don't think it's going to be 6 losses in a row, and if it is, I would be extremely surprised. Of course, sin bins, red cards, key injuries during the game. We'll see how things like that go. But I'm going to go with Hull FC 14, St Helens 28. Next up, we have Salford Red Devils taking on Leeds Rhinos, starting with league position. Salford sit in 5th, Leeds are in 7th. For recent form, both have won 3 in their last 5 Super League games. For power rankings, I have Salford in 6th, Leeds in 9th. Aledzki was the only one to pick up a key injury from last week with a neck injury. So, here we go. Salford won by 8 points and were up an extra man on 2 occasions versus Castleford. They've also had some pretty poor performances over the last couple of weeks. There was a game against Huddersfield, was really, really lacklustre. And then obviously there was Catalans, I think that was the week before, which was 20-0. So the last couple of weeks, Salford have not looked great. They've been really lethargic, low energy. I just don't get that. Trying to think of the right word, but there was a specific word that I had to describe Salford. There's just not really that. Let's just go with zing for now. That's the only thing I can think of. They've not got that zing that they used to have. But they're still a solid team. They can control the game well with Sneed. And Briley is a solid factor at number 1. I think the time it kind of changed was around the time Hankinson moved away from the fullback position when he was replacing Briley at 1 and when Briley came back in. It's kind of changed since then. Whether that is the answer, I don't know. It doesn't feel like it would be the answer, but maybe it is. Who knows? Leeds at the moment, yes, they managed to beat a really shocking Huddersfield team, but my thoughts on this is that with Brad Arthur in there, Leeds will start to compete in these kinds of games, which is what they should be competing in. And there'll be some other ones where they'll be tricky for other teams, but I think the way that Brad Arthur will get them playing a different brand of rugby, the resilience that they'll have defensively, the decision-making, the confidence that he'll instill in these players, and the freedom that it'll give them to be creative. Like, I know Brad Arthur. Not personally, I don't have his number, but I feel like I know him as a coach and, like, trust him. Like, if anyone picks him up as a coach, whether he keeps the full-time job next year or goes to any other Super League club or an NRL team next season, I trust him to get them working as a unit. I think he's a fantastic coach. And this Leeds team, we already saw with the response against Huddersfield that they were just a different outfit. And he's going to get Brodie Croft on a different level, hopefully. Same with Matt Frawley, getting him kind of, running the game as I think Leeds were hoping he would do early in the season. Lockie Miller's had some exciting moments, but trying to get more frequently exciting moments out of him. I think he'll run this team extremely well, and Leeds will look different for it. And again, there's still a bit of that zing that no longer exists, or that is reduced from that Salford team. Salford is still good, but I think Leeds right now, they're turning up the heat at this point. They're turning it up, and I think they can get it done. So I'm going to go with Salford Red Devils 18, Leeds Rhinos 26. Finally for this round, we have London Broncos taking on Catalans Dragons, starting with league position. London sit in 12th, Catalans are in 4th. For recent form, London have won 0 in their last 5 Super League games. Catalans have won 4 in their last 5 Super League games. For power rankings, I have London in 12th, Catalans in 4th. The only key player out at the moment is McMeekin for the Catalans Dragons, and there may be a few others as well. But for this game, I only kind of see it going one way. The only real positives to talk about is I would like to see London continue to put up consistent points. So on the defensive side, if they could be better, like if they could just concede a few less points than they did last week and kind of maintain the number of points they're putting up, or thereabouts, that would be a good sign. And if it can get to the point where London are competing for wins with teams that you wouldn't have expected them to from like the first few rounds of the season, that would be great. I think it's just a process of London chipping away and learning things as they go and keep developing. Catalans probably doing a little bit better than I gave them credit for, or have given them credit for over the past couple of weeks. They've not been perfect. Sometimes a little bit stale on the attacking side, sometimes a little bit too disorganised on the defensive side, but I think generally they've been okay and still fairly strong. Just nothing too special, so that's why I'm probably not giving them that much credit, but they've been strong, 4 out of 5 in the last 5 Super League games, so that's, solid enough. I think they should be able to control the game with their kicking. They'll probably win through the middle. In terms of their overall quality, decision-making, and experience, should just be better off in this game. But as I said, I'd like to see London just continue with a solid chunk of points as we go. And I think they will put up a handful of points. But Catalans should be fairly comfortable in this game. I don't think there'll be too much trouble from London. But I am partially a London fan just because I want to see an underdog do well. But for this round, I'm going to go with London Broncos 12, Catalans Dragons 30. So for this round, I'm going to take Leigh, Wigan, Warrington, St Helens, Leeds, and Catalans all to win this week. That's going to do it for my Super League Round 20 predictions. If you've got your own, do let me know in the comments down below. Also, let me know how you got on last week. Well, that's going to be it. Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you next time.